Good day, everybody, and welcome. I am on the outskirts of Hornwall, Lewis County. I'm on the Natchez Trace, as you can see. This is a monument. Tells about the early American trail known as the Natchez Trace. And here is some Footsteps Through History trail. Basically, this is part of the old Natchez Trace. Walk along. But I'm not here for the Natchez Trace. I am here for MERIWETHER Lewis, who is a politician, soldier, explorer. We're going to visit where he died, the controversy around his death, and visit his grave. So here we go. So this is the map. Kind of shows you where MERIWETHER Lewis stayed the night on October 10th and where he was buried. It says, at this site on October 10th, 1809, MERIWETHER Lewis, a renowned explorer and governor of Upper Louisiana Territory, left the Natchez Trace to spend the night at an inn called Grinder's Stand. He died early the next morning and was buried nearby. And that is the Grinder's Stand. And we're going to go over there and take a look at it. There's a shot down the old Natchez Trace trail. So, MERIWETHER Lewis. He was born August 18th, 1774 in Virginia. He was, like I mentioned, a soldier. He was in the Army Infantry. But he did not have any education until he was 13 years old. His family moved from Virginia, and I believe it was, I don't remember where they moved to, but they moved from Virginia, and they wound up sending him back to Virginia for some schooling at age 13. And here is the Grinder House. This is the site and ruins of the Grinder House in which MERIWETHER Lewis met his death on the night of October 11th, 1809. And this is the original house and the original spot I do believe. Now, Meriwether Lewis, he was a explorer. He was also a personal, I don't know, I wouldn't say secretary to no, ain't gonna get in there. To Thomas Jefferson, and he was the leader of the Lewis and Clark expedition that went out west to explore the new Louisiana Purchase. Him and William Clark, along with 30 other men, went out, explored the west all the way to the Pacific coast. And when he got back, he was given, for his duty and time, he was given 1,600 acres. Now, as you saw, there was 2 doors. Looks like that's an office in there, from what I can tell. So I don't know what side he stayed in on that night, if it was the right or the left side. But this is the grinder house that he stayed in. Now we're going to walk to his grave site, talk some more about him. So he's buried roughly, I don't know, 200-300 yards from, there's some old ruins of something. Maybe an old fire pit. But he's buried roughly 200 yards or so from the grinder house. And how he died is up for debate. Now, obviously, if you look it up, more than likely you're going to find that it was suicide. However, if you kind of do some digging and research and everything, it kind of looks more like he was murdered instead of suicide. So, I don't know. It's up for debate on what really happened to him. But obviously, something happened to him. Now, a little before this, he did try to attempt suicide and was stopped by some people. So there's that argument there that he did commit suicide. I don't know if he did or not. When he was found, by a woman that found him. Here, we're going to look at this right here. Talks about the Natchez Trace. It says, this plainly visible, though long deserted road is a section of the Natchez Trace, evolved from buffalo and Indian trails into the first national highway of the Southwest. Cut and opened under authority of the United States government after treaties negotiated with the Chickasaw and the Choctaw Indians in 1801. Designed to meet early necessities of trade between Nashville and the country of the lower Mississippi, it is an abiding footprint of the bold, crude commerce of the pioneers, yet is not without military significance in the history of our country. Over it passed part of Andrew Jackson's army in his campaign against the Creek Indians in 1813, and again on his return from the battlefield of New Orleans in 1815. But before Talladega and New Orleans, before the soldiers of Jackson had given renown to the Natchez Trace, it received its immortal touch of I can't pronounce that word. Fame when Meriwether Lewis journeying over it as his way to Philadelphia to edit the story of his great expedition. Here he met his untimely death on the night of October 11th, 1809. All right. There's the flag. I don't know. Should it be at half-mast? You would think it would be at half-mast. Pioneer Cemetery. Most flags you see at cemeteries, graveyards, are at half-mast. Oh well. So, Meriwether Lewis, as you can see right there, that is his memorial, his gravesite. So, was he murdered or did he kill himself? I don't know. His family, descendants of his, believe he was murdered. Now, here's another kicker. His body was not had autopsy or anything until 40 years later. And evidently that doctor said that it looked like it was suicide. I don't know. So there are other graves here, looks like. Here's a Sam Turner, Fred Carroll. So that's the conclusion that doctor had. But the woman that found him the next morning claimed that his throat was slit. So, if his throat was slit, then I wouldn't think he would have done it himself, especially since he was killed by a gunshot wound. But this is the grave of Meriwether Lewis, the American explorer that led the expedition out west, the Lewis and Clark expedition, all the way to the Pacific coast. All right, up there at the top there, it's kind of hard to read. It says Meriwether Lewis, born in Charlottesville, Virginia, August 18th, 1774, died October 11th, 1809, aged 35 years old. I remember coming here when I was a kid on field trip with school. But then also, they used to have all kinds of like arts and crafts, fair type stuff around here. And I remember seeing this. Didn't really know who he was. Remember seeing the grinder house where he had died. But there are many other graves. There's an unknown. Here's another unknown. Francis H. Flanagan. Sarah Jane Flanagan. Chesley Flanagan. Dora Flanagan. So there's a lot of graves. Of course, this area is called Pioneer Cemetery. I don't know who all these people are. I guess they're pioneers, people that moved out here, explored. But yeah, this is an actual cemetery. And that is where Meriwether Lewis is buried. So let me see what you guys think. Do you think he was murdered? Do you think he committed suicide? I personally think he was probably more likely murdered, because the Natchez Trace was known for having thieves and murderers along the trail at places where people stayed the night. And they would be ambushed and murdered and robbed and things like that. So, plus, another thing is, evidently Meriwether Lewis, he owed money to some people. So, but like I said, I personally think he was murdered. But it's one of them things that we'll never know the truth to. His descendants have actually been trying for years and years and years to get the body exhumed again and have an autopsy done on it to see, what really happened. But that happened so long ago, there probably isn't much left of the body anyways. So, but it's been denied by the courts. But it would have to be approved, because this is on federal ground, so it would have to be approved by federal courts. But like I said, it's been denied, so it's pretty much too late to figure that out. It's just going to be all up for debate. And it's something that we'll never know the truth to. We'll just have to research and look and talk it out, I guess. But yep, that is the grinder stand where he died October 11th, 1809. Now, like I said, I don't know what side that he stayed in, what side he died in, or anything like that. But that is it. But anyways, I am here on the outskirts of Hornwall for Meriwether Lewis. It is March 2024. And guys, let me know what you think. Was he murdered, or did he commit suicide? Anyways, I appreciate you watching. Please subscribe, like, share, comment, do all those free, wonderful things. There's a shot in the background. It's a pretty good view right there. But in the meantime, I'll see you real soon. Rest in peace to Meriwether Lewis and all those other people buried there in the Pioneer Cemetery. Thank you and good night.